start, you're going to want to pick your yarn. So I'm using Loops and Threads Snuggly Wuggly 5-ounce yarn in the color Fresh Green. Then you're going to want size 6 knitting needles. For this, you can either use circular or double pointed needles. The stitches will get kind of tight, so you want that bend that you either can get with the double pointed or the cable. So just get a size 6 in either one that you prefer. And you'll also need stitch holders or extra needles just to keep your stitches aside when we're not working them. So this size is made for a 6 to 12 month size. In the description there's also an 18 to 24 month. So you want to start off by casting on 34 stitches. And this pattern is worked from the ankle down. So if you're doing any color changes to make it appear to be a sock or something, that's the color you want to start with, because we're starting from the ankle and working to the sole of the shoe. So after you've cast on your stitches, you're going to work garter stitch, which will be knit every row for 1 inch. And you want to make sure that you keep track of how many rows it takes you to get to 1 inch on this slipper, because you'll have to repeat it for the second one to make your pair look even. So you want to make sure you keep track so that your other shoe will match. So you just want to knit every row to form our garter stitch for 1 inch. So once you've worked your inch of garter stitch, I forgot to mention that the very first row you work is the wrong side. So after you've worked your garter stitch, you want to come back to the right side of your work. So for mine, the right side ended up with the bumps of the cast on as the front of the work. So once you have your inch of garter and you're back on the front of your work, you're going to work 2 rows of stockinette. So that's just knit on the front of your work and purl the back. So we're just going to knit across this whole row. So once you've knit across the front of your work, now we're just going to do purl. So we're just going to purl across the whole row. So once you've worked your 2 rows of stockinette, now we're going to move on to the instep. So we're going to start off by knitting 22 stitches. So after you've worked 22, then we're going to turn our work. And we're going to leave the 12 stitches on our side needle here. Then after we turn our work, we're going to go ahead and purl 10. And then we're going to leave the 12 over here. So now if you're using stitch holders, we're going to be swapping our stitches onto there. And if you're not using stitch holders, then you're just going to only work the 10 stitches right here and keep 12 of these on separate needles. But I'm going to show you how to do it with the stitch holders. So you want to take your stitch holder and slip your remaining 12 onto your stitch holder. And And once you have all your stitches transferred, you're just going to close it and leave it there until we come back to them later. Now, if you're using a regular needle that has a stopper, you'll just continue, and after you get these stitches off this needle, you're just going to put these remaining ones on a holder as well. But since I'm using a double pointed needle, you're just going to slide your stitches to the other end and slip off the 12 on this side. And close that, and then you're just going to leave that, so your work should look like this. Stitches on holders, and we're going to work the center. So after you do that, we're going to turn back, so we're to the front of our work again, and we're going to knit across the 10 stitches. So after we knit them, then we're going to turn our work around and we're going to purl 10. And after that, then we're going to repeat the last 2 rows 10 more times. So just the last knit and purl row, repeat 10 times. Make sure you're keeping track of the rows so we can match it to our next slipper. So once you've repeated that for the length, this is what your slipper should look like now. Kind of weird, but it's all going to start coming together now. So what you want to do from here is cut the yarn, cut the working yarn. Now we're going to start working from our first set of stitch holders. So while you see the front of your work, where you see all the knit stockinette stitches, we're going to pick up the right side of our held stitches. So you just want to open your stitch holder, and we're just going to knit directly off of these. So to start from here, we're going to knit the 12 that we have saved here. So we're just going to take our cut yarn here, leave a small tail for weaving in, hold it in the back of our work, and then just begin knitting our 12 stitches with our yarn. So once you've knitted them all off the holder, then you're just going to put that away. And now we're going to pick up 10 stitches along this edge. Now you might want to pre-count them so that you line them up right and you know where they'll end up, so you don't end up with a gap on the one end. So you're just going to pick up the 2 stitches. You'll see you have the 2 bars that form a knit stitch along the edge here. That's where you're going to pick up your stitches. So to make it easier, you're just going to pre-count to make sure you know where you're going to put them in. So mine will fit if I put one every other stitch. So I'll pick up a stitch here, skip this, pick up a stitch here. So you're just going to take your working needle and go into your first section, wrap like you're knitting, and pull the loop up through the side, and you've picked up 1 stitch. So my plan is to then skip the next one, go into the next opening, wrap as if you're knitting, and pull up the loop. So once you have your 10 stitches picked up, I'm going to start using another needle to work these neck stitches. If you're using a circular needle, you just keep going. You can even keep going if you're working on straight needles. I just prefer to separate them on double pointed. So after you pick up your 10 stitches, then you're just going to knit across your 10 stitches on this needle. And this stitch will become elongated because we cut the yarn here, so you may just have to tug on it to keep it together. And you're just going to knit across all the stitches that you have here on your needle. And once you've knitted all of them, then we're going to do just like on the other side. We're just going to pick up 10 stitches along this stretch of fabric. So I'm just going to use my empty needle here and begin to pick up my stitches. So you just insert through both bars of your side stitch here and knit it like it's a normal stitch and pull up a loop. So once you've picked up your 10 side stitches from here, then we're just going to continue by knitting the 12 that we have on our stitch holder. So you just open up the stitch holder and just begin knitting them off. So when you're all done, your work should look like this. You have your side stitches, then you have your instep and your other side stitches. So at this point you should have 54 stitches all together. So from here you're going to work 7 rows of stockinette, starting with this purl row. You're just going to purl across, and then when you get to the end, then you're just going to knit it and work stockinette stitch for 7 rows. So once you've worked your stitches, this is what your shoe should look like now. You can see the nice line where we picked up our stitches is on either side of our toe, and we're working down the side of the foot. So now from here we're going to begin our decreases for the sole of the shoe. So you'll be on the right side of your work, and you're going to start off by knitting 2 together. Then knit 23. Then you're going to knit 2 together twice. So we'll knit these last 2 stitches together of this needle, and then we'll move on to our next needle and do our second knit 2 together. Then knit 23. And we're going to finish off with a knit 2 together. Then for the second row and every other row, you're just going to knit across. The sole is in garter stitch, so that's why we're knitting every row. So for 2 and all wrong side rows, you're just going to knit. Then for row 3 of our decreases, we're going to begin with a knit 2 together. Then knit 21. Then knit 2 together twice. And you'll see a similarity in our decreases, and you're going to be following that. And you're going to be following that same pattern of decreases, decreasing 4 stitches every other row until we have 26 left. So we're going to do our second knit 2 together, and then knit 21. And finish off with a knit 2 together. And remember, all wrong side rows, we're just doing plain knit every stitch. So now you're just going to follow that until we end up with 26 stitches all together. So your decrease row will be starting off with a knit 2 together, then you're going to work 2 stitches less than the row before. So because we worked 21, we're going to work 19 on the next row. Knit 2 together twice right here in the center of our shoe. Then work that same amount of stitches, ending with a knit 2 together, followed by a plain knit row on the wrong sides, and continue until we have 26. So once you got to your 26 stitches left all together, your final row, as you knit it, you're just going to bind off as well. So you knit 2 stitches, pull the first stitch over the second, and knit 1, first stitch over the second, and repeat until all your stitches are bound off. From here, you're just going to weave in all your ends and sew up the back seam of your shoe. Then you're just going to repeat the pattern again to complete your pair, and you have these adorable baby booties. If you try them out, I would love to see your color combinations and how yours turned out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.